Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. We got a lot to talk about today, as you all have seen yesterday. The Rangers are finally moving on from the Odor experiment. And I say experiment because, he's been there, you can see right here, past 7 seasons, had a couple of good seasons. And his peak was early those seasons during when they won the division in back-to-back years, and of course the Jose Bautista incident and all that stuff. But it's been pretty downhill since then. I believe in 2017 he did hit 30 home runs still, but his batting average was like barely over 200. And then he just has not been able to produce anything close to that since. So we can take a look here real quick. There was 2017. He played every single game, hit 30 home runs, and hit 204. But then after that, 18 home runs, hitting 253 is not horrible, actually. Especially since he has never been known as a average hitter, in terms of just hitting for a good average. His highest season has been 271, career 237, so... 2019 was 205, struck out almost 200 times, and did hit 30 home runs. And then last year, it wasn't a full season, but he was on pace also for about that. But the problem is his batting average and his on base. He just has not been able to be consistent in the same area year to year. But before we get into that discussion, I just want to, for those who may have missed it, break down what happened here. The decision was made about middle of the day yesterday, and they took Charlie Culberson, I believe, in place of Odor. I'm not sure if that says it on here. Yeah, Charlie Culberson and Brock Holt, who will kind of be in the third base platoon utility kind of thing. But yeah, Nick Solak is going to be the starting guy at second. I'm assuming Guzman's going to be at first, and then Isaiah Kiner-Falefa at short, even though I totally disagree with that. I think he should be at third because he just won a Gold Glove at third. But once again, whole other video. So they've got the roster pretty much built up. And yeah, you can see, we were just looking at it. He did actually lead the team in a couple categories, but he was hitting 167, like 47 strikeouts and 138 at bats. This is it's a weird thing because you don't mind the power numbers, but hitting 167, that's not good. And just for a super quick comparison here, you got Gallo, who was at first criticized for that same thing, hitting 200, but then driving in, 40 home runs in back-to-back seasons. And then last year he 2019, I forgot it's 2021 now. 2019, he found his swing a little bit. His on-base has always been pretty good, at least compared to his batting average. And, of course, he's got the slugging, his OPS. So he started to kind of find it. OPS plus at 145, which league average is 100. So he was well above average. And then 2020, a little bit of a rough year in terms of the batting average. He did have the 10 home runs, but I take things that happened last year very lightly, just with a grain of salt, because 60 games. So before I ramble on much longer, that is a thing that happened. Odor is gone. They're pretty much going to eat the contract, and you can see Chris Woodward commenting on it. It's strictly a baseball move, and it's more of an organizational move kind of forward. Don't think it would be fair to put him in a non-everyday role, and I agree with that. I'm not saying he's good, but someone who's making that kind of money, you don't want them riding the bench, because I remember between Jeff Bannister and now Chris Woodward, the progression with Odor was, hey, we got to bench him at some point, because they sent him down those couple times in 2015, 16, and 17. And when he came back up, he was hitting like 300 for brief stretches and hitting everything out of the park. But the reality is where the Rangers are at and where he is at, they don't line up. You know, we got Nick Solak. He's actually, I think, 26, so about the same age as Odor, for much less money because you got the $24 million left, the $3 million buyout, and the $13 million team option. I mean, the Odor's not putting up those kind of numbers anymore that warrant that extension. And I wasn't opposed to it when they did it because, you know, they were striking while the iron was hot. Same with the teams now with Tatis, although not comparing Odor to Tatis here, but the same kind of idea. You want to get them while they're hot. And that's what the Rangers tried to do, and it kind of worked, and then not so much anymore. The team's also not ready to compete. Everyone was expecting by the time this new stadium was up, they would have something pulled back together. That has not been the case. As we talked already in other videos, last year they finished 22-38. Second worst in MLB because they have that number 2 pick. By the way, I hope we get Jack Leiter or Kumar Rocker. So with all that being said, I think this was a good move. It just had to happen at some point, and they're going to eat the contract and move on to Nick Solak, I guess, until, you know, something else happens. But there's also Josh Young coming up, and he will be eventually in that third base spot, hopefully starting, because he was pretty good with Tech. And moving on to something that we can all consider to be bad news here, Jose Leclerc will be undergoing Tommy John surgery. I believe he was having some issues with his elbow that we're going to keep him out for about a month or so. And now they're saying they're just going to bite the bullet and get Tommy John. So definitely sucks. He's had his moments of brilliance and he's had his stretches of not so much. But at the end of the day, you never want to lose a player like Jose Leclerc because you need all the bullpen arms you can get. And in this instance, that's 12 to 15 months, Tommy John surgery. So definitely sucks. And I don't know if this article actually talks about Leclerc. Oh, yeah, that's Chris Young. We certainly support that decision and are disappointed to lose Jose. Hopefully when things, by a year from now, when things are more normal and everything, he will be ready to go. See down here, 2018 was his year. And he was closing games, but 2020 he was not so good. And then now it's done. So really hate to see it, but those were the two big stories from yesterday. I definitely wanted to wait once again about 24 hours like I kind of did with the Elvis Andrus trade to see more of the information because I didn't really know how it was going, but y'all went crazy on this post. I mean, I don't think I've ever gotten so many interactions on a post. 76 comments, almost 700 likes, and 374 people shared it through DM or some other way. So I usually don't look at those numbers, but I noticed that it was kind of getting a lot of likes, and I didn't even read most of the comments. I usually try to reply to everyone or at least, drop a like or something, but stuff like this is a lot, so I just kind of let it happen. But also today, as I'm making this video, they did announce the official 2021 starting rotation, at least for opening the season, and it's going to be Gibson in the 1 slot, then Kohei, Jordan Lyles, Fulte, and Dane Dunning. So that is the rotation for the beginning of the 2021 season, and I honestly like it. People, they've been commenting on this. I'll read some right now. Someone said it could be a lot worse, and I was like, Dunning and Fulte, they've shown they can pitch well. I mean, I think Fulte was an all-star in 2019, so once again, pretty much skip over the 2020 season in terms of things like that. So I'm excited to see what happens. It's better than I thought it would be. I did not expect, of course, anything to happen last year, but them losing Minor and Lynn were kind of some tough blows, but they're both aging starters, and we got a good return. That was Dunning was the Lynn trade, and then we already had Gibson. They signed Kohei. Lyles was already there, and then they signed Fulte, and they put Dunning in that 5th spot. You can also expect to see probably guys like Palumbo or Colby Allard in that 4th or 5th spot, or really just anywhere. They might have to do a spot start every so often, just because it will be an experimental season. Is why that is why you'll see them. So once again, don't want to make this video too long, but those are kind of the current narratives that are happening within the Rangers organization. It was a very busy day yesterday because both of these announcements, let's see how far apart I posted it. So it was within the same hour both things were announced. So insane. But at the time you're seeing this, we got 2 days to opening day. Very exciting. Gibson's going to be making that start. And we should be able to win the first series, I would think, because Kansas City, well, they're actually not bad, but we'll see. Anyway, y'all, that is going to be it for this video. Let me know what your thoughts on all this are. It's a lot going on, but I would just say buckle up because this season is going to be something else. Will we do anything crazy? I don't know, but only time will tell. That's it for now, and I'll talk to y'all later.